Was this harsh sentence part of a negotiating ploy to get more from the Biden administration? Yes, it was. And what else does President Biden have to offer for her freedom? Let's get into it with another man panel. We've got comedian and host of Fox Across America on Fox News Radio, Jimmy Fallon, is in the
hey
with the white blazer.
Hey.
Indeed, there he is. We've got the host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, avid runner, Christopher Hahn, has run onto the man panel tonight, and he is the Institute Director for the Libertarian Institute, also editorial director at antiwar.com, Scott Horton, whose tie is appropriately tied. Sir, wonderful to have you all, sirs. So, Big Jim Fallon, let's start with you. Obviously, never a good look when you go to another country with something that is banned in that country, regardless of what the laws may be, where you're from. Having said that, this is not about cannabis cartridges, is it?
No, and I really do feel for Britney Griner because Biden thinks WNBA is a radio station in Delaware. So I don't even know.
WNBA.
I don't know what's up with their traffic reports. Yeah, he has no idea. 66 WNBA. No, listen, stupid to be there. This is bigger than that. And yes, on some level, you really got to feel for her. But you've also got to feel for the fact that even if we get her back, there are tens of thousands of people in jail for smoking pot in this country. Granted, it's a little more draconian over there, but, you know, again, note to self. I'm not happy that she's in the position she's in, but we can't discount the stupidity of her actions.
So, Chris Hahn, what else do they want? What else is Russia looking for?
I think they want us to stop helping Ukraine or something ridiculous like that. This is Putin making an example of an American citizen, a prominent American citizen who actually was also more famous in Russia. And he's making an example of her to further his diplomatic purposes around the world. And it's ridiculous. And I hope to God there is an exchange for her so she could come home to her family.
So it's I hope you're absolutely right. I mean, I hope there is some sort of negotiation that takes place that gets her home, because, as you pointed out, she has played basketball in Russia professionally for 6 years, which is common for WNBA players. When the season ends here in America, they play elsewhere. It's not as lucrative on the women's side, turns out, and the basketball has little stripes. So, Scott, this is interesting because our Secretary of State is going to find his Russian counterpart in Cambodia, and he's going to finally talk to him about Britney Griner. Aren't there some other things he should also be talking to him about?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is absolutely surreal. And, you know, this woman, her life is extremely important. Her fate is extremely important here. But just think of the irony. After 5.5 months, our Secretary of State is willing to talk to the Russian foreign minister about this one basketball player and her liberty, but not about the proxy war that we're waging right on Russia's very border. It's the most reckless policy. It's got us closer to nuclear war than any time since 1983 or even 1962. And our side refuses to even talk with the other side whatsoever. And they blatantly say they want to prolong the war in order to weaken Russia and fight to the last Ukrainian. But just look at the situation on the ground. The Ukrainians are just losing and losing and losing. They might end up losing their whole southern coast. And remember, when their democratically elected president, supposedly, pretty much, Zelensky wanted to negotiate back a few months ago, the Americans, and in this case led by Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, but obviously working with the Americans, went and stopped him from negotiating in order to prolong the war. It's an absolute outrage. Antony Blinken should be run out of power.
I agree. And I think he should be joined by Lloyd Austin and Jake Sullivan, maybe for slightly different reasons for all of them. But I don't have a problem with that at all. So what will Russia get out of this, Jim?
Well, listen, man, that I think the frustration we're all speaking to is, you know, if this really is Putin's price hike, and no one believes it is, but if Putin being in Ukraine is the root of all evil here in America economically, yes, Scott is right. We should be doing more to end the war. What Putin gets out of this is I just think he likes embarrassing us on the world stage because we do look weak in this instance. Strategically, we look weak, and I don't think any other president would have let it get this far. That's not a Republican thing. I don't think Barack Obama would let it get this far. And that's my frustration, is I think the perception of us is that we're weak on the world stage. And I think the longer this drags out, the more Putin gets out of kind of sticking our nose in it. And I just think that's the sad reality of right now.
All right, from a failing president to potentially a future one. Meanwhile, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis suspending a liberal prosecutor for his soft on-crime policies. DeSantis saying Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren, what a name. He is so diverse. He neglected his duties and the law by not charging certain crimes. Watch.
We are going to make sure that our laws are enforced and that no individual prosecutor puts himself above the law. And I can tell you the states and the localities that have allowed this to happen, they are ruining the day.
Well, we don't want the day rude, do we? DeSantis also took issue with Warren's refusal to enforce laws against child sex change surgeries and abortion limits. In Tampa, the biggest city that state attorney Warren serves, has seen a spike in violent crime in recent years, with homicides at their highest level since 1994. I loved a lot about 1994, but not the Tampa homicides. So will we see more liberal prosecutors getting the boot from conservative governors in the near future? Chris Hahn.
So what DeSantis is doing has nothing to do with crime, has everything to do with choice. And quite frankly, the Florida law violates the Florida Constitution, which under Article 1, Section 12, grants the right to privacy to every Floridian. A very broad right to privacy that extends to abortion and gender reassignment surgery, which the Florida legislature is legislating against right now. And if DeSantis knows what's good for him, he would back off the pushing of these anti-choice measures, because he could read the polls and he saw what happened in Kansas. Yeah. And it is not unthinkable that he loses in Florida and his national ambitions, which is what he's doing this for, are gone.
Well, at least someone's doing something, because, you know, it's a misnomer to say soft on crime, because people like Andrew Warren and Chesa Boudin and George Gascon and, Mike Schmidt up in Portland, they don't think there is such a thing as crime. And so they have taken criminal justice reform and thrown it so far out of balance, Scott, that even having conversations about rational police reforms don't enter here, because there essentially is no policing. Scott Horton.
Yeah, leave it to these progressives to just blow it. There's so much pressure built up in this country on the left and on the right. Remember, the lockdowns were a real red pill for a lot of Americans on the right. It's not just the ATF. Your local police can very much be the enemy of your life and liberty as well. And then what happens is these progressive prosecutors come in, and instead of reforming the obvious things that need reform, like accountability for cops who break the law and demilitarizing the police, ending, nighttime SWAT raids and these kinds of atrocities. Instead, they come in and essentially legalize violent crimes or refuse to prosecute them, legalize brazen thefts, raised in, I guess it was in California, where they raised the grand theft limit up to $1,000, essentially declaring open season on retail stores and this kind of thing. But they go after people who defend their property or defend their own life, as we saw in the case of the bodega store clerk there in New York just a couple of weeks ago. So the progressives, of course, they have their premises all wrong, and of course they've blown our opportunity mostly to reform policing in this country. And we're going to hear from the right-wing reactionaries more and more that, you had your chance, and so now it's back to the thin blue line and law and order. Donald Trump called for the death penalty for drug dealers the other day. And that's the kind of ththing we get in reaction to these progressives blowing their opportunity.
No, there's no actual
reform. And that's DeSantis. That's who he is.
No, you cannot just choose what laws you enforce when you are a state's attorney. You don't get to abstract.
That's not what this is about.
It certainly is. And also, Jimmy, I want to bring up something here. So my youngest daughter, for a long time, during the pandemic, she watched every episode of Grey's Anatomy 3 times. There are 18 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. So she really wanted to
Mine too, actually.
She really wanted to be a surgeon. Yeah. Should I have sent her into an OR with a scalpel? So my point is, like, sometimes kids,
Yes,
are very firm in their decision making about what they want in the future. Now she wants to be a voiceover actor or a federal investigator. So she has changed course.
Listen, I mean, it's better than what my son was watching. He was watching 50 Shades of Grey's Anatomy, which is a totally different program altogether.
Yeah, that's when McSteamy drops the towel.
What does he want to be now?
Hey, girl. But here's the thing. You're right to talk about how fluid gender fluidity can be. Look at Demi Lovato. She just switched back a day ago after identifying as, I guess, the opposite of a woman. So this idea that someone who's 30 could change their mind, I don't know, that might be a wake-up call not to let 5-year-olds choose a body-altering surgery that's going to change them for life. I think people see that there's a basic decency on the DeSantis side of this argument, in that it's reckless to let kids have that level of choice, man. Like, to your point, when Lincoln was 5, he wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. We didn't stuff him in a manhole and tell him to go fight crime. I mean, it would have been better. We would have had more pizza around the house. But, we're decent parents, despite appearances.
Oh, the child star. I always love our conversations, all of you. This is fantastic. That's why you're the Man Panel, and you've been cast tonight as the stars of this show. We'll see more of you in just a little bit. Welcome back. It's time to play Prez Your Luck, the game that separates the history buffs from the history buffoons. Our Man Panel will earn points by answering presidential trivia. Jimmy, Chris, I have to write this down because I forgot to do it during the break. I have to make a graph so I can keep score. They have one chance to Prez their luck and double their point total on a question of their choosing. But if they get it wrong, they lose it all. The winner gets an ice cream cone that's been autographed and coughed on by President Biden. That's a big deal. Jimmy, Chris, Scott, are you ready to Prez your luck?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Boom. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. Okay, Jimmy, this question is for you. Which one of these presidents changed his name from Leslie? John Tyler, Franklin Pierce, Gerald Ford, or Joe Biden?
From Leslie, I'm just going to go Gerald Ford, thinking he watched, like, the Airplane Police Squad series and likes Leslie Nielsen.
Right.
You have a point, Jim. You're on the board with Ford.
Boom.
Great job. See?
Bang.
Jimmy, I knew you
There
could
it
get
is.
one of these right eventually after 17 tries. Chris Hahn?
First one ever.
Here's your first question. What was President Obama's preferred brand of cigarettes? Was it Marlboro, Camel, Newport, or hand-rolled and laced with PCP?
Nope.
Oh, man. I'm going to say Camel.
And you would be wrong. Joe Camel was not for our
Newport.
former president. It was Marlboro. Hello, Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Okay, Scott Horton, this is for you. You ready to play, Scott? That's right.
I'll give it a shot.
All right. In what state
Scotty.
What was President George H.W. Bush born? Was it Texas, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Iowa?
Oh, that must be Massachusetts.
Yes, Scott Horton is on the board, tied with Jim. They each have one. And now that you have something on the board, you can Prez your luck if you want, or you can wait for the next round. Jimmy, here you go. Which president instituted the first national income tax in history? Who was the traitor? Was it Abraham Lincoln, John Adams, FDR, or James Money Grubber Madison?
It was James Money Grubber Madison, was it not?
It was not, Jim. It was
Lincoln.
It was
Come on.
Dishonest Abe.
You led the witness. Well, you led the witness. You threw in a nickname like Money Grubber Madison.
Yeah.
Come on, that should be thrown out.
Money Grubber
Outrage.
Madison. That's great. It's never the most obvious answer.
hustle.
All right, Chris, here you go. Who drew the illustrations in President Jimmy Carter's children's book? Was it his daughter, his vice president, Andy Warhol, or Hunter Biden?
I'm going to go with his daughter.
And you are on the board. That's correct. Little Amy Carter. She was just a wunderkind. Actually, she was crap, but he wanted to give her something to do because he felt bad. Okay, Scott.
Yeah, he couldn't afford a Hunter. Yeah, he couldn't afford a Hunter Biden painting. They're like
No
$500,000, by the way.
No, even if he's.
And if you think
grafting off of
And I was just gonna say,
Habitat for Humanity. All right, Scott, here you go. What was the number one song in the country on Bill Clinton's last day in office? His last day in office was in 2001. Was it I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, The Sign by Ace of Base, Benny and the Jets by Elton John, or Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen?
I'm pretty sure it's War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
No. Hold on. I thought it was Pink Floyd, Have a Cigar.
Oh, God.
Maybe Sleep Now in the Fire by Rage Against the Machine.
All right, so of the choices that I gave you, Scott, I Will Always Love You, The Sign, Benny and the Jets, or Call Me Maybe. I'll give you a hint. It's one of the first two, Scott.
Okay, I'll say Benny and the Jets because the Beastie Boys had a great cover of that one with Biz Markie.
No, that was not the number one song in the country, Scott. I want you to at least try it.
It should have been.
It was I Will Always Love You by
hate Whitney Houston.
Oh, she always said nice things about you. Don't speak ill of the dead. She's amazing.
Isn't that from earlier in the 90s?
No, that was 2001.
No.
The Bodyguard. Okay, last round. Now you guys can press your luck because you're all tied. Which of these presidents wrote an autobiography without mentioning his wife? Was it Bill Clinton, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, or Lyndon Baines Johnson, Jimmy?
Well, you say it's never the most obvious one, so I'll exclude Bill Clinton, and I will go Andrew Jackson. I will go Andrew Jackson, luck pressed. Oh, come on.
Nope. Nope. Okay, Chris, President Obama politely declined this gift from a local leader during a visit to Colombia. Was it illegal drugs, a house in Colombia, a pornographic catalog, or a pet donkey? Visit to Colombia.
I'm going to say the pet donkey.
Yes, that's right. Did you press your luck?
I did.
Okay,
I thought we were all
fine.
pressed.
No, he has 4 points now. Good job, buddy. Or wait, he had one. Now he has 4 points. Okay, I think you should press your luck here, Scott, no matter what, okay? That just is your agent. Okay. While in office, President Trump had the highest net worth of any U.S. president. Adjusted for inflation, which president had the second highest net worth? Was it George Washington, John F. Kennedy, Herbert Hoover, or Bill Clinton? Adjusted for inflation. That's the key word.
Yeah, it's definitely George Washington.
George Washington! I wish I could say something.
Sorry, I couldn't think of something funny to say there.
Washington, George Washington.
Washington.
7 feet tall.
Washington.
Best. Okay, so you and Chris win the game. You're tied with 4 points apiece. That means you both get COVID cream from our bumbling president. Congratulations to everyone who played. This is really a magical night. Jimmy, Chris, and Scott, thank you so much.